And joining us now from Jericho is Dr. Abdel Nasser Mekki, the Professor of Political Science and a specialist in international law and Middle Eastern diplomacy. Welcome, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Let me ask and start off, please. How does the IPC's formal famine threshold declaration, do you think, change the legal and moral obligations of the international community, in your opinion, sir?
Again?
Do you want me to repeat the question? Yes. How does the IPC's formal famine threshold, the declaration, change the legal and moral obligations of the international community?
Yes, I think this will be good for the positive things. And I think what the government of France about the recognition of Palestine is in the right direction. So this will also send good signal and marks to the other countries, especially in the European Union, to go ahead with what France is doing now for this recognition. And also many of the countries will go ahead with this. So I think this will be a good impact on the situation on the Middle East.
Mm-hmm. Doctor, is the WFP says now that Gaza now mirrors Ethiopia's 1980s famine. What comparable policy failures are we seeing today?
I think for this matter, maybe I don't understand what you mean. Could you just repeat again the question?
You'd like me to repeat the question? Okay.
Yes,
The WFP says Gaza now mirrors Ethiopia's 1980s famine. We have a comparison here. So what comparable policy failures are we seeing today that it's repeating itself again? We're seeing the similar famine that we had seen in Ethiopia in the 1980s.
You mean the starvation in Ethiopia?
Sorry?
You mean the starvation like what happened in
Yes, we're
Ethiopia?
comparing now. Yes, we're comparing situations.
Yes, comparative. Yes, which was happening in Gaza.
Yes.
Yes, I think there is similar for the two cases, but for Ethiopian was not that internal elements or internal elements, but in Palestine or in Gaza, it's like occupation. It's like that there is like aggression against the Palestinian people. There are siege. There are closing the borders.
Yes.
There are preventing the people from that taking or reaching to the main sources for the food and the water. There is some cases which will be similar, but here it's much more seriously affected for the people, because all the international community for the Ethiopian, they participated in order to minimize the case in Ethiopia, but in Palestine, they couldn't do anything because all things have been closed. Just they are talking, declaration, something condemned, talking to Israel to open the borders, but they are not doing anything like what they did for the Ethiopian.
Okay. Okay, sir, with 46 people being shot or bombed by just simply looking for food, is Israel using starvation as a weapon of war, do you think, in your opinion?
Yes, I think this is not by the Israeli also. This is a plan between the Israeli and America. What they are establishing is just a Gaza humanitarian, for a center for the food. It's just like ambush for the people to come and they kill the people. And this is something in order to reach that the people will not get the food, and they want to change their life, the people of Gaza, their life to be miserable, and to pressure on them in order to leave Gaza. This is not the way that you could just send, that food to the people by tell them to come and walk for 10 kilometers for some centers with hundreds of thousands of people, and after that shoot them. This is something criminal. This is the war criminal. They want to, to give them the food. They just open the borders. This is only the only way. And I think many of the countries now, especially today, they just apply for the United States of America and Israel to pressure to open the borders. Otherwise, 500,000 of the people in Gaza, they're exposed to die by the starvation. And this is facts. It's not just propaganda, as the Israelis say. The Israelis say that it's something, especially Smotrich and Gafir, they say this is something, there is no starvation, and the people they could get assistance. But I think this is not the truth. The truth is that the people is suffering from the starvation, and you see on the TV, many hundreds of people now, they are dying by the famine, by the starvation, by the lack of the food, especially for the children. Now about 100,000 children in Gaza exposed to die in 1 week.
Okay, sir, the UN warns of, and according to their expression, an exponential rise in hunger deaths, which is a huge rise in hunger deaths. What, in your opinion, do you think are the mechanisms that exist so that we can avoid that projection that they're calling exponential to actually happen? What can we do to avoid from that huge rise of hunger and deaths? How can we prevent that?
Yes, okay. In order to avoid the hunger and the death of the thousands of people, I think the Americans should pressure. Now, Steve Woodcock in the visit today one of the center in Rafah, and he saw by his eyes what the people is suffering. So I think he should be truth in that transfer what he saw in Rafah in this center to the American, to Trump administration, in order that they should minimize the problem and the miserable situation for the people in Gaza. Otherwise, we will see the most and the significant miserable situation and the death of thousands, hundreds of people by the starvation, while the Israelis said that there is no starvation because they want to justify what they are doing. They are killing, they are preventing. So the only way is to avoid what about the starvation and the killing of the people by this starvation is to find a mechanism which is to open the border and to let
allow aid,
hundreds of trucks.
Well, that brings me to my next question. Aid trucks average just 100 a day versus what they actually need would be around 600 to 700 needed every day. Can you explain to us, please, why is there the gap, do you think?
I think the Israeli, that even 100 trucks, when they are open, when they are enter Gaza, they are exposed to people who are, coordinate with Israeli, which they are the robbers and also some of the spies and the people who are making, relation with Israeli, but from the Gaza people who are, make relation with Israeli. They steal all the trucks, and they and also at the same time they sell it to the people with a high price. This is one thing. The other thing is that the people in Gaza is not just want, corn and wheat for the bread. They are needing the all food which is necessary and necessary for their children, milk and the other, food which is necessary for the children and the young people, which is not until now they are not entered to Gaza. And for 100, even that, if we are talking about, suppose that we are talking about 100 enter Gaza, it's just a small. It's small trucks.
Okay. Do you think the recent, we call them tactical pauses that are announced by Israel, do they actually mean to improve the humanitarian access, or do you think they are just primarily like just PR maneuvers from Israel?
Yes, for the Israeli, I think it's PR. I don't think that Israeli wants people to stay in Gaza. I think the Israeli is just focusing on the cleansing and also on the genocide. They don't want the people to stay in Gaza.
And how do you think, sir, is the widespread malnutrition now reshaping Gaza's social fabric and the prospects for the post-war recovery?
Again, because there are some voices.
How is the malnutrition now and all this hunger that's happening now in Gaza, how do you think, in your opinion, is it reshaping Gaza's social fabric and the prospects for the post-war and recovering from the war later on?
You mean the regression?
I'm sorry?
You mean the regression of the state?
No. I'm speaking about just another question about the segmentation of the society. How is the widespread malnutrition now reshaping the prospects of the post-war recovery of the Gazan society?
I think that for the post-recovery for Gaza, they need, that much assistance in order to change, and in order to change for the better life. This is, I think, what they need.
Okay. Do you think an independent humanitarian air bridge outside the Israeli control be established under the UN Security Council authority?
I think yes. I think
you think that's
this
possible?
Is the only way. The only way that which will be help is to have independent, institution by under the United Nations.
Well, thank you, Dr. Abdel Nasser Makki, so much for your valuable insights.